festival that we do in Nebraska. In Papillon, or Papillion as they call it in Nebraska. It's the Renaissance Festival of Nebraska. It is on a lovely site at the Bellevue Berry Farm. It's a small fair, but they've got actual hard buildings, like a great place, and it's just wonderful, and I love it there.
And they also have they have a really good bar,
Yes.
Renaissance festivals are actually the best place to catch them because they like really good bars. Handy. I was introduced to this group at the Kansas City Renaissance Festival, and it's just so fortunate that they happen to go to all of the places that I regularly would be drawn to anyway. If you are at Planet Comicon this weekend, drop by there in booth P28. They've got, like I said, 3 CDs. They've got tote bags this year, which are actually pretty cool. I'm going to try and steal one. Oh, they heard me. Okay, I'm going to try and buy one. Buy one, for sure. And they actually have a fantastic deal going on at their booth involving the Dice of Destiny. Bum-bum. So if you're a gambler, which I know many of you are, you can get down there and roll a D20. If you're not a gambler, go roll a big D20 anyway.
Sure, for funsies. You know I do it all day long.
Funsies?
Yeah, those two. Yes, definitely the funsies. Yes.
I can't wait to meet the funsies. All right, guys, this has been Clearly Guilty joining us live at Planet Comicon in Kansas City. Thank you so much. And I'll actually be seeing you guys later today near the close of business. All right, bye, guys. Thank you so much for visiting. Bye. And keep up with us as we continue our ongoing live coverage at Planet Comicon here in Kansas City on Sci-Fi For Me TV.
What comes to mind when you think of Kansas City? Jazz? Barbecue? Baseball? Sure, but Kansas City has a motion picture history rich with Hollywood ties. You've probably heard of 18th and Vine, but what about 31st and Forest, where the Walt Disney pioneered animation? It was here that Disney founded his first animation company, Laugh-O-Gram Studios. Disney would later say he was working late one night at his desk when he first found a mouse that would become the office pet and the inspiration for his most iconic character. Nearby, you'll find Kansas City's historic Film Row. For 40 years, every major Hollywood studio distributed films from this 4-block area, making KC one of the largest distribution hubs in the country. These buildings still stand as a symbol of our movie heritage. KC wasn't just supplying the movies. We also supplied some of Hollywood's biggest names like Jean Harlow, Ginger Rogers, Joan Crawford, and the legendary director Robert Altman. Not to mention stars of today like Diane Weiss, Chris Cooper, Jason Sudeikis, Eric Stonestreet, Don Cheadle, and Paul Rudd. Today, the city's film ties continue. More filmmakers than ever are choosing Kansas City to bring their visions to life, making KC an up-and-coming destination for independent and studio productions. And now, you can experience it all with KC Film's tourism program. Take in the sights and sounds of Kansas City's cinematic history. Get started at visitkc.com/film tourism.
With more premium cable-like channels than any other station in the United States, we are locally owned. We are locally operated. We are free over the air. We are TV 25, where there's always something on.
Live from Kansas City, Sci-Fi For Me TV presents coverage of Planet Comicon 2017.
Comicon live here on Sci-Fi For Me TV. We teased it earlier. I have in my hot little hands news. Now, this is something that normally we would post on our website, sci-fi4me.com. You need to be using this mic because that mic's not on.
Well, hey.
Oh,
Fine.
1 and 2, I think, right? 1 and 2, 2 and 1. Live TV. I have here, now normally we would be posting this on our website.
Right.
Because we get press releases, we get emails, we get news alerts, all this stuff. I got this in the email this morning. This is news from Reebok.
Yeah?
Reebok has a new couple of pairs of shoes coming out.
Just two?
Just two pairs.
Just two shoes.
2 pairs of shoes designs.
Okay.
It's a limited series that's going to be available July 18th.
Mm-hmm.
These are called the Alien Stomper Final Battle Double Pack. Inspired by the movie Aliens.
Okay.
Okay, now you remember at the end of the movie when the alien queen has Newt.
And Sigourney Weaver comes up to her and says, "Get away from her."
Exactly,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
She is in the power loader, the yellow
Right,
power
yeah,
loader, right? And they
of
have
course.
the big boom, right? Reebok has taken that battle and has made shoes. There are 2 shoes. There are two designs. The first design is based off of the Alien Queen, and Garrett, if we can throw those up there on the Hangout tab. The Alien Queen shoes. It's in the camera scene. So the alien shoes hit Hangout. We'll show the shoes. Those, there we go. These are based on the Alien Queen. Now, they're made out of a real glossy...
They're very shiny.
Slick, shiny leather because of the skin of the alien, of course. And
okay,
the
sure, yeah,
exoskeleton
all right,
and whatnot.
yeah.
And on the shoe, this detail that you can only find from, if you can appreciate if you're a fan, the designation for the xenomorph, the X number and whatnot.
Oh, right, yeah.
That's on the shoe. And then the other design for the shoes, the other tab there on the screen there, Garrett, the power loader over on the other monitor. It's the same monitor. Just click the tab. There we go. These are the yellow ones based on the power loader. And on the back of the shoe is the number, the ship's designation number.
All right. Yeah.
Now the only thing missing from this shoe, because it prompts me to tell the story, the only thing missing from this shoe is the classic Caterpillar logo.
Oh, hey.
Because if
that'd
you
be a
will
licensing
recall,
issue, right?
Yeah, it's probably a licensing thing. Now, if you will recall, the power loader in Aliens was a Caterpillar model.
Right, yeah.
And it had the old Caterpillar logo that was not in use. It was actually the old one, which I think is probably how they were able to get away with it.
Oh, yeah,
because
I'm sure.
they didn't have to pay as much. It was the classic,
I'm sure they still pay for
classic
it.
segmented, stylized C was on the power loader. And what was funny, okay, Gary, you can come back to us. What was funny, my dad and I went to see Aliens. Now, my dad, for the longest time, my dad worked for a Caterpillar dealership. He still freelances and consults with Caterpillar, going to various dealerships and conducting workshops. And if you want to hire him, let me know. We can talk. But we were watching Aliens, and we had just introduced the crew.
Sure,
and we'd gone down to the cargo bay, and now we see the power loader for the very first time ever, right? And my dad, he sees the power loader, and he visibly reacts, and he leans forward, and he's looking at the power loader because he noticed the Caterpillar logo, and I noticed his reaction before I noticed what he was reacting to. What? Oh, there's a Caterpillar logo on there, and I looked at him. I said, "Are those real? Does Caterpillar really make those?" He goes, "I don't know." And so for, I don't know, maybe a good 5 minutes or so, we're completely distracted because we're trying to figure out if Caterpillar really makes these power loaders or not, and we're not even watching the movie. It's like, does Caterpillar make these? I don't know. And of course, this is back in the day before we have cell phones or
you couldn't
internet
just look
or
it up.
smartphones or anything, so there's no way you just look it up. But he ended up checking into it, and turns out, sadly, no.
Not yet.
They don't make the power loader.
Not
But it would be
yet.
so cool if they did.
Not yet. The future has not yet happened.
No, but we got the shoes for it
That's
when
right.
it does, right? I tell you,
I have resisted the urge. I'm a Converse high top guy. This is not the plug the shoe company hour.
Right.
But at the same time, that's people are used to seeing me in high tops and Chucks. But I have resisted the urge to design my own. They give you that option.
Oh yeah.
Where you can sit there and go, design your own. Put whatever you want on your shoe, and it's
Well,
like
you should. Release your inner cosplayer and just
I've
design the shoe.
resisted the urge because there's so
Right?
many different things I could do.
There are. Speaking of cosplay, we do have a place. There's a lot of cosplay out here. I actually saw a Kim Possible earlier.
Yeah.
I see a stormtrooper. I see. Jennifer is dressed in.
There was a very brave
Attack on
Psylocke.
Titan.
There was a very brave Psylocke yesterday.
A Cylon?
Psylocke from X-Men.
Psylocke.
As you might recall, her
yes.
costume is
Psylocke.
thinnish.
Yes.
And there was a very brave lady,
purple.
and she wore it well. I mean, it's a.
I see.
It's a bold.
Helena Bonham Carter's character from Harry Potter. It just went by. Bellatrix.
Yeah,
I
right.
get this. I'm slow, but sometimes I know what I'm talking about. Maybe.
There's been Ghostbusters around.
Ghostbusters.
There are
A female
host
Winter
of
Soldier.
anime characters.
Harry Potter character.
There's a young boy whose stomach has been ripped out. That's
like you do.
like
you do. But yeah,
says the father of a teenage boy.
some of these people I would expect are wearing cosplay for the very, very, very first time.
Oh yeah,
If they're not, then it's first-ish time, and there are stories to be told. There's a big, thriving cosplay community here in the Kansas City area. They
And a
do
very
lot of
supportive
charity work. Very
cosplay
supportive.
community.
Yes, very supportive. Although every now and then you get some sniping back and forth. I think there are some people.
we get sniping back and forth inside the bunker.
What? What are you talking about?
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Today doesn't count. But yeah, it's a very supportive, growing cosplay community, and there are stories to tell. So here's what we would like to do. We would like you to tell us your story. We've provided a forum for you to share your stories with the overall fandom community. You can go to cosplaydiaries.com. And basically, what this is, it's a way for you you can click on, you can watch video from other people telling their stories, but you can also fill out a form, and you can share with us your experiences as a cosplayer, whether it's your first time in a parade, first time at a charity event, first time visiting kids in a hospital, your first time at a convention in costume, those kinds of things. And if you want to share pictures with us, you want to share video with us, you're more than welcome to.
Tutorials are up there, photos are up there.
That's actually on Pinterest.
Oh, sorry, that's our
the
Pinterest stuff.
Which we've got a card for that too. The Pinterest boards that we have, because we're on almost all the social media.
Right.
But our Pinterest boards are dedicated to cosplay. So photo galleries in case you need some inspiration for your next costume. Tutorials for costumes. You were talking about the articulated wings earlier with the 8-foot wingspan. There's tutorials on how to do that. There's tutorials on how to work with Warbler, how to make masks, how to deal with wigs, how to work with leather. Thomas Townley is on his way out. You're on the road now then. Thank you very much, sir. Have a safe trip. And we will have you on our next Rogues Gallery. Remember, you are about to kill Gotham. So Thomas Townley on his way out.
And we thank you for your fine effort, sir.
Yes. All right. Now, coming up next, Colleen Doran. Is it Doran? Doran. Okay. She is coming up next. We will talk to her after we hear from Planet Comicon.
We are looking for Sean Byrne.
So,
people are mislaying a lot of people here today.
I know. But people are being found, too.
This is true. There was...
it does sound like they're saying John Byrne, but I was like, John Byrne's not here.
The last child announcement actually sounded like, if you want to, come pick up your child.
You want to come pick up your child?
It was more like, please come pick up your
get
child.
him.
We don't want your child anymore.
All right, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna break. We're gonna take a break. Let's see what shall we run. as our break. Shall we acknowledge TV25 again?
Let's
just one more
acknowledge
time?
TV25
Let's run another
again.
15-second break from TV25. They are giving us our signal boost this weekend. We're transmitting to their box, and they're sending the signal out not only to our Facebook and YouTube channel, but also Planet's YouTube channel and TV25.tv and Channel 25 over the air. It's a low-powered TV station here in the Kansas City market, and we do appreciate Brian Short and the gang over there giving us some help with the technical stuff to get our signal out. So we're going to let you hear from them, and then we are going to talk to Colleen Doran right after this. I'm going to...
With more premium cable-like channels than any other station in the United States, we are locally owned. We are locally operated. We are free over the air. We are TV25, where there's always something on.
All right, back here at Planet Comicon, talking now with Colleen Doran, the comic book artist, graphic novelist, artist. Now, do you do the covers? You do the interior art. What else do you do?
Well, I pretty much do everything. It depends on the book. I write comics. I draw them. I color them. I letter them. I ink them. I adapt them. I do just about every job.
Now, I'm looking at the list here. Amazing, fantastic, incredible Stan Lee graphic novel is one of yours.
Yes.
You have illustrated Troll Bridge from Neil Gaiman. You have contributed to American Gods, Faith, which I actually saw a cosplayer earlier dressed as Faith.
Yeah, she was terrific.
Justice League, 3001, The Walking Dead, S.H.I.E.L.D., Squirrel Girl, which has just been announced. We've got Secret Warriors coming to Freeform with Squirrel Girl in the lead on that television show. How do you find the work? How do you approach the work? Is people coming to you and saying, hey, Colleen, draw this for us? Or are you still out there just hitting the pavement and saying, hire me, please?
Well, the good news is I don't really look for work anymore. Eventually, they just come to you. And I probably get 2 or 3 offers every week, every other week. And I end up having to turn down a lot because I tend to take projects that percolate over a long period of time, right. And then I try to take small things in between to stay fresh. I like to do alternate covers every once in a while and short stories and whatnot, and I like to do things that give me a breath of fresh air while I'm working on something that's really long term.
Now, you mentioned alternate covers.
Mm-hmm.
DC and Marvel especially do a lot of the variants, the collectibles and that kind of thing.
Right.
And some of the variant covers, not the standard here's going to all the stores, but the variant covers, there's been some controversy depending on the artist, depending on the subject matter. There's been a lot of complaining and whining online about, certain artists drawing certain things a certain way. Do you have any particular places that you don't want to go when you do a variation?
I never get any complaints. I'm not even sure what the complaints are about. I don't spend that much time online, to be perfectly frank, because I'm too busy working. I talk to my fans and whatnot, but I really don't read the message boards and the blogs very much. I know that there have been some controversies with sketch covers, which is not the same thing as a variant.
Right.
I do what my client requires. I don't tell the client what their business is. If they say they want a Squirrel Girl cover, I don't sexpot Squirrel Girl. That's not my job. My job is to illustrate the book and to illustrate it to the best of my ability and to keep it in character with the property. I don't do anything that disrespects the client.
It's funny you say it that way because recently we had another controversy involving one of the X-Men books. The artist that was it X-Men Gold, I think it was, just a brand new one. He was from the Philippines, I think.
That controversy I did hear about.
Yeah,
Yes, he
putting in
coded
some,
political messages and whatnot.
Now,
No,
do you
I
ever
don't
get tempted to do anything like that, or is it like
Never.
something like, oh, hold on, hands off?
He's from Malaysia or Indonesia.
Indonesia, yeah.
Do I ever get tempted? Absolutely not. I never do things like that. The book is not about me. The book is about the characters and the story. I want to be invisible. The only thing in all these years that I have consistently put into my books as an in-joke is Led Zeppelin references. I try to put in somebody wearing a Led Zeppelin T-shirt or a Zoso symbol or something like that. That's just my in-joke.
Right.
But that was something that would be in the atmosphere for that particular book anyway.
Now, everybody
I
that's
never do
watching
that.
now or watching later, they're immediately turning through the pages that you've drawn to find that.
There are plenty, trust me. But no, I don't believe that I, as the artist, have any business putting my beliefs and personality into the book unless they are concurrent with the beliefs and personalities of characters within the book in the first place.
Right.
I don't impose. I am an actor. I am an actor for everyone in that cast. I am a set director. I am a cinematographer. What business do I have breaking the proscenium for the reader, putting in coded messages that don't have anything to do with the story? I'm not going to do that. That's not my job. And I don't think it's respectful. I don't think it's respectful of the client. I don't think it's respectful of the readers. And I don't think it's respectful of the book.
Now, when you get a new project, you get the script, what's one of the first things that you do after you read the script, you make your notes? What are your steps to putting together art? Let's say you're doing interior art.
Mm-hmm. Well, it depends on how familiar I am with the book. If it's very research heavy, I may spend weeks during research. I spent probably a couple of months researching a graphic novel called Gondomerique because it took place in 3 different time periods, including 1870 and 1960. So I had to research immigrant ships from 1840 to 1870 and think about, well, immigrant ships, they're not going to be the best ships. They're not going to be current. They're going to be old, raggedy. I had to research the costumes. I had to research the architectural styles, everything about the time period. That took months of research. And I was researching it right up until the day I finished the book. It took me 2 weeks to research a single costume, which was a uniform that appears in only one panel of the book. We could find old woodcut illustrations, but not woodcut, engraved illustrations, but we couldn't find anything in color. And we needed it to be accurate because it was a historical graphic novel.
Right.
So I'm very research heavy. In fact, I get a lot of jobs that require a lot of fidelity to history. I specifically get hired by people for that kind of work because they know I'm going to put in the legwork and do the job.
Now, is that the kind of work that you prefer to do? Because you've done work for the big two,
Sure.
and the sequential stuff and the series. Do you have a preference on what kind of stories you draw?
I like to draw all different kinds of stories. I like to do something that's very, very difficult along with something that's very easy. I worked on the graphic novel adaptation of the movie Beauty and the Beast. I was doing Clive Barker's Hellraiser at the same time. So during the day, I would work on Beauty and the Beast, and at night, I would watch horror movies and work on Clive Barker's Hellraiser.
Oh, my.
Now, that's actually pretty extreme. But if I'm doing something really dark and really heavy or very technically challenging, I like to do something light and easy, maybe an alternate cover or a short story, a comedy, something fun to keep me flowing.
Do you prefer to ink and color your own pencils, or are you okay handing that out and you just do one piece and let somebody else?
I
take it
haven't
from
worked with an inker in many years. Going on 15 years. I don't work with them anymore. I prefer to do all of my own inks. I'm an artist, we call that thinking in ink, where I don't do tight pencils. I just do a simple sketch and then immediately start inking and doing the final work. It saves a lot of time and energy. I like coloring my own work. I have a particular palette and technique that I don't know anyone else is doing. It's particularly the job I did on Trollbridge. It's very different from what's being done in most comics right now. But I like working with colorists. I love working with hi-fi. I think they're absolutely fantastic. I'd be thrilled if they do all of my mainstream comic work. They're absolutely terrific. And so I'm always excited to see what a colorist does on my stuff, because they're better at that type of coloring than I am. But I do a particular painterly coloring that other people aren't doing, so I prefer to do that kind of thing. But for superhero stuff and whatnot, I love working with people like Hi-Fi. I just think they're wonderful.
You mentioned earlier being the set designer and the cinematographer, and having to think in those terms when you're drawing the art. Do you also think toward what will this look like on TV? Because we're seeing a lot of comic books getting adapted for television and film now. Are you looking toward an adaptation? What would this look like in another medium, or are you just strictly focused on this is what it looks like on the page, and then whatever happens after that happens?
I am a cartoonist who respects my medium, and to me it is not a stepping stone to another medium. Unless the client specifically asks for me to develop something for wider application, my sole purpose is to make the best comic book I can make.
So what got you into comic books in the first place?
I remember the very first comic book I ever read. I was a weirdo kid, and I was hiding from all the other kids in school, and I was crawling under the bleachers during an assembly, and I found some comic books thrown away, bundled up under the bleachers, and those were my first comics. They were very hard to get where I lived, so those were the only comics I had for years.
Good afternoon, Planet Comicon. Sean Burns. Sean
They're
Burns.
still looking for Sean.
Please find the nearest orange or yellow shirt employee. We have your child at the information booth. Sean Burns. Please find the nearest orange or yellow shirt employee. We have your child at the information booth.
Yay. I forgot what the question was.
Comics under the bleachers, they were the
Comics
only
under
ones
the
you had
bleachers,
for a while.
and they were very hard to get, and we didn't have any money to buy stuff, so I would redeem bottles at the 7-Eleven and then buy what few comics I could afford at the 7-Eleven. Then we moved to a fairly rural area, and you couldn't buy comics at all, so I didn't see comics for years. And then when I was 12, I got really, really sick, and a friend of ours bought me this big box. It was hundreds of comics. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is the mother lode. And from then on, I was like, I want to be a cartoonist. I don't want to do anything else with my life. And that was it. That was great.
Now, are you self-taught? You went to school for it, or a combination of everything?
Everybody always asks that, and I'm so flattered, because you must think I'm younger than I am, because there were no training programs for comics when I was growing up. Everybody of my generation was a self-taught cartoonist. You didn't go to comic art school. There was no such thing.
Right. Now, the Kubert School turns out quite a few artists every year. Are you seeing a difference in style and technique from the self-taught versus the academy-taught artists, or everybody's got a unique style and doesn't matter?
I think it's a generational thing. A lot of the stuff I'm seeing nowadays is heavily influenced by animation, and a lot of the artists are working in a much simpler, cleaner, digital style, with the entire focus on achieving a clean, simple, cartoony line and going to digital color. They're skipping the whole rendered inking process that was very common back in the day. You're not seeing a lot of artists come out, trying to draw like Barry Windsor Smith anymore, with a lot of noodling and rendering. You're
Right.
just not seeing that anymore.
So we're not going to get another Bernie Wrightson.
I don't know. That's laborious. I mean, I love Bernie Wrightson. I love that kind of technique, but I don't see anybody doing it.
Yeah.
I really don't.
So what's on your docket right now? What are you working on currently?
I'm working on a lot of stuff. I can't even remember everything I'm working on. I'm working on a project for DC Comics. I'm not sure I'm supposed to talk about it, but I'm working on a new series for Top Cow. It's a miniseries. It's called The Clock. Top Cow is a division of Image Comics, and our boss is the legendary Mark Silvestri. And this new project is written by Matt Hawkins. and science fiction, again. Really smart guy, Matt Hawkins. He writes great science fiction. He's one of the best science fiction writers in comics. I'm working on a new project with Warren Ellis for Line Webtoon. Line Webtoon is the Korean company that is doing all of the new fangled stuff on iPhone and whatnot. So this is entirely free, and you'll be able to get it on your app. And I'm doing all of the art on that, written by Warren, and I'm doing everything, including the color.
Now, are you doing that with an eye toward the digital space and trying to go cleaner? Or?
Absolutely. I'm having to think about how it's going to look on a tiny little screen.
Right.
So I've changed my normal working art style completely, and I'm working entirely in brush, which I have never done on a comic book before, ever. This is my first time doing that. And all the coloring is digital, and all of the panel layouts and page design is entirely with the idea of it being separated panel by panel and stuck onto a phone screen.
You mentioned a brush. Are you doing all of your art in software, or is it still pencil on paper? And
dude, when I say a brush, I really mean a brush. Now, I'm perfectly capable of doing digital art.
Right.
Some of my art is entirely digital. But I'm an analog girl. I don't even understand why people want to throw away their original art. And,
right.
You know, it's like a ghost to me. It's like, where's my art? And it's not necessarily faster, and it's not necessarily better. Now, coloring, you bet. Coloring is better. But to me, drawing by hand is better still. The only thing that's better digitally is backgrounds. Backgrounds are better digitally, but I still do mine by hand. All of those, really detailed backgrounds and stuff, it's not faking it. That's real. I've drawn that.
Now, where can people find out more about all of the things that you're doing? You have a website, I'm sure.
I have a website, ColleenDoran.com, and ADistantSoil.com. It's my science fantasy space opera series with Image Comics. You can actually read most of it online. About 300 pages are online for free to read. And come to my website, check out my stuff. I've got a lot going on.
And you're on all the social media, I assume?
Twitter, Facebook, yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Tumblr, yay.
All right. Colleen Doran, thanks very much for coming out. Our live coverage of Planet Comicon continues. Let's see, we have Brian Peterson coming up after this. You can connect with all of our social media as well. We're going to take a break. When Brian comes back, we will be back with more live from Planet Comicon 2017 here on Sci-Fi For Me TV.